गणानां त्वा गणपतिं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमम् ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आनः शृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम् श्रीमहागणाधिपतये नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Dear friends, in the last class we completed the third mantra. We are in this Mundakopanishad, first khanda, and in this first khanda we have completed the first shloka. The third shloka. And in this third shloka, Shaunaka, who is the Mahashala. Mahashala is the great Grihastha, the great householder, which means he is also a great teacher. A great teacher. Mahashala explained that word. A person who is having a huge, say, hall. Huge hall means not in a useless way, but huge hall means a person who is performing yajnas always. A person who is having lot many students of his own. So such a person, he went to this Shaunaka, Angirasa, and then he asked this question. You tell me that by knowing which I know everything. And by the very question, it shows that he knows, he has heard somewhere that there is some such thing. There is some such thing by knowing which, by knowing one you can know everything. Kasminnu bhagavo vijñāte sarvamidam vijñātam bhavati. What is that by knowing which I can know everything? So that is what he said. Now we completed the bhashyam also under that. We have to read the fourth mantra. So let us read. Tasmai sahovacha dve vidye veditavye iti hasma yad brahmavido vadanti parachaiva paracha. Okay. Tasmai means to that gentleman. To whom? To Shaunaka. Shaunako havai Mahashala. Shaunaka went to Angirasa and requested Angirasa to tell it. And Tasmai, to that Shaunaka. Sa means that Angirasa. Uvacha. Sa ha uvacha. Ha means, yeah, it is prasiddhi dyotanartham. Ha, it is so well known. So that is it. That he told like that. What? Dve vidye veditavye. There are two things. There are two systems of knowledge. There are two branches of knowledge. There are two knowledge systems which have to be known. What is that? Itihasma. Itihasma means it seems so. It seems so. Itihasma. These are all avyayas, rather nipata or avyaya, whatever it is. Itihasma. Hasma is in the sense of it looks like that, it seems so. Then yet brahmavido vadanti. That which about which this Brahmavidaha means the people who know Brahman. Brahmavit is singular, Brahmavidaha is plural. Brahmavidaha vadanti. They say what? Parachaiva aparacha. There is one thing which is para, which is supreme, and the apara, which is something which is lower. There is one knowledge which is supreme, considered to be supreme, and the other knowledge which is lower. So let us see what it is. Let us see the bhashyam. Tasmai Shaunakaya Angira ha kila uvacha Kim ityuchyate Dve vidye veditavye iti. So Tasmai means Shaunakaya, to that Shaunaka. Angira ha is kila. It seems kila. It seems uvacha. Kila, you know, ata. In Telugu we call it ata. Cheppad ata, oyad ata. So that is it. Kila uvacha. Kim ityuchyate. What is that? It is said. What is it? He said. Dve vidye veditavye. There are two things, two types of vidya which have to be known. What is it? Evam hasma kila yat brahmavido vedartha vignaha
यद् ब्रह्मविदो वेदार्थाभिज्ञाः
वेदार्थाभिज्ञाः परमार्थदर्शिनो वदन्ति.
परमार्थदर्शिनो वदन्ति.
So there are two things which are told by this Brahmavidah. For this word Brahmavidah, Shankaracharya is explaining Vedartha Abhignaha. Abhignya. Abhignya means a perfect knowledge. Vedarthasya Abhignya. So that is not simply the meaning of Veda, but then the essence of the Veda, the teaching of the Veda, the import of the Veda. What is that? Vedas, they talk about the supreme reality. So that thing they have realized. Vedartha Abhignaha. And in order to clarify further, he is saying Paramartha Darshinaha. That supreme thing, Paramartha, that supreme goal. Parama is supreme, Artha is the goal. Paramartha Darshinaha. Those who have seen that supreme goal. Seen means seeing is attaining. Seeing means realizing. Vida, the dhatu vida also means to see. Vida means to see, to know. Here Darshanam, what we call Darshanam means, what is Darshanam? Darshanam means realization. Darshanam means not merely seeing, physically seeing. It is realization, isn't it? Paramartha Darshinaha. Vedartha Abhignaha Paramartha Darshinaha means those realized persons. They say, it is only a realized person who can say this. There are two jnana, there are two levels of knowledge. Otherwise, an unrealized person, he will not be able to say. An unrealized person, he is very happy with Veda, he is very happy with Karmakanda, he is very happy with Vyakaranam and Dukruikarane and whatnot. So, he is very happy at that level. And he is very happy at the level of Tarka, debating with people. So, he is quite happy with that. It is only Veda with or Vedartha Jnana with, that is the person who is a realized person. Only such person, he will be able to say the limitations of the lower Vidya and the supremacy of the other Vidya. So, Ke te ityaha Paracha Paramatma Vidya Aparacha Dharma Dharma Sadhana Tat Phala Vishaya. Okay. Paracha. Para is that supreme. Paramartha Vidya. Paramatma Vidya. That is the Vidya, the knowledge which is relating to the supreme thing. Supreme, say reality. Paramatma. This Atma is again a word which we know. Paramatma. You see, Atma you have heard in the earlier bhashyams, but for somebody who has come new to this Upanishad, we have to explain a little bit of this word. Atma is the notion of self. That is, say, we have knowledge, say, throughout our waking state, where there are three states, that is, a waking state, dream state, and a deep sleep state. During the waking state, you have so much of experience, so much of jnana. So much of jnana means so much of information which is flowing into your mind. All this information you are knowing, and you are aware that you know that. You are aware that you are seeing it. Then in the sleep also, in the sleep again you see certain world, the dream world. In the dream world also that notion of I is there. Otherwise you will not be afraid in a dream, you will not be happy in a dream. The notion of I is very much there in a dream. Similarly, in the deep sleep also, you may not be having the awareness of I, but immediately after waking up, you have that awareness that, oh, I was very, very happy. I was very happy. That notion of happiness is very much there. So the person or the self which is seeing all these three states, the person or self which is aware of all these states and which is able to distinguish all these states from its own self, that is what is the Atma, the self, what we call the self. Atma does not mean the soul, because when you use the word soul, it may have a different, say, connotation to Christians and other people, because the soul for them it is a specific concept. So we need not use the word soul. We use the word self usually. In older translation, if you go to the same Upanishad and then go to a older translation, maybe about 100 years ago, the word soul was used. But in recent translations, even Ramakrishna Mission translations, that soul word is not used. It is translated as self. So the self, as we see, we call it Atma. Then what is this Paramatma? Paramatma is what is called the Supreme Self. That means, it doesn't mean that there are two Atmas. It doesn't mean that there is one Atma here which is small and another Atma which is a bigger Atma which is there. Atma is awareness. Atma is knowledge. Atma is consciousness. Because it is in this consciousness, it is in this awareness that you and I, we are all experiencing things. So this consciousness is something which is reflected in our antahkarana. It may be an ant, it may be any other animal. Every animal is having this intelligence. Every animal is said to be having an atma. For example, in the Western, religions, only human being has atma. The animals don't have an atma. Animals don't have atma. Animals are created by God just as food for them, food for human beings. But then in our case, we say that starting from a small being, starting from a small microbe, which is having some intelligence to survive. So, starting from that, right up to the biggest thing, right up to this Hiranyagarbha Brahma, all these things, they are having intelligence. They are endowed with intelligence in the sense. The physical body of these things, of all these beings, jivas, physical body is something like a drushya. Even the mind, the physical mind, as we call the brain, not the mind, the brain itself is something which is not the place where intelligence is born, but then where the intelligence is reflected. So that is our concept. So this intelligence which is reflecting in our brain and which is seeing all the experiences which are there in the dream state, wakeful state, and in the deep sleep state. It is aware of the happiness in the deep sleep state. So that awareness is called the self. And this intelligence cannot be divided. Intelligence is something which cannot be divided. It cannot be broken into pieces. So the intelligence is same in me. The same intelligence is reflected in a different level or to a different degree in an animal. Same intelligence is reflected in a higher degree in some sage or a rishi or some saint or in some other godly personality. So it is like that. So the Paramatma is the same as the Atma in the sense that essentially it is consciousness which is equal in both. The consciousness which is in Atma is the same as consciousness which is in the Paramatma. It is something like wave and the ocean. The constant example given in Vedanta is the wave and the ocean. Wave is also water. Wave has to realize that it is not different from the ocean. So this is the meaning of Paramatma. Paracha, Paramatma Vishaya. Paramatma Vidya. That is, Paramatma Vidya is for the seeker. You see, there are two types of people in the society. There are more 99.9% of the people, they are very, very happy with comforts, very, very happy with the external world, what all we get in the external world. And for them, then the scriptures have to tell about certain what is to be done, what is not to be done, and if you do this, there is a reward, if you do this, there is a punishment. So there is a dharma, adharma. So that is what he is saying. Aparacha dharma dharma sadhana tat phala vishaya. There is what is called dharma. Dharma is again, but I will repeat. Dharma is what is dharma? The meaning of dharma is dharanat dharma uchyate. That which holds the society, that which keeps the society intact, and the norms and regulations which are dictated by, which are told by the scriptures. That is about the way in which a human being has to conduct himself. That is what is dharma. Adharma is don'ts. You do not do this, you do not do this is adharma. Then for this dharma, there is what is called a sadhana. Dharma means, for example, you have to perform a yajna. For performing that yajna, you require some sadhana. Sadhana means some sort of accessories, some sort of tools or accessories, whatever it is. You need some money, you need some dravya, you have to prepare some vedi, you have to invite some people, and you have to give some dakshina. That means dakshina means you have to give some money to them, you have to give some other donations by way of, it may be money, it may be clothes, it may be cows, whatever it is. So all types of dakshina you have to give. So for all that you need dravyam. So they are all the sadhanani. They are all the accessories which are needed. So dharma, the act of dharma, quite often needs some sadhana. You have to sadhanani. You have to suppose you have to do some donation. You need some money. That is a sadhana, isn't it? So dharma and adharma, it is something they are dependent on sadhana. Sadhana means sadhana doesn't mean not the sadhana. Sadhana is a spiritual seeking. That is a different. Sadhana is abhyasa, seeking. That is different. Sadhanam. Here it is sadhanam. Sadhanam means a tool. So this sadhana, tat phala vishaya. It also tells about, apara vidya also tells about, if you do this, you will get this result, phalam. Dharma, Aparavidya tells you what is dharma and what is adharma. And for doing this dharma, what are the sadhanani, tools. And also it tells, this is the phalam, this is the result which you are going to get. So tat phala vishaya. So there are two levels. One is telling about that supreme thing called, supreme consciousness called Paramatma. The other is telling about the dharma and adharma for 99.9% of the people. So anyway, we are flattering ourselves that we belong to that microscopic minority. Okay. Then, nanu kasmin vidite
ननु कस्मिन् विदिते
sarvavid bhavati iti shaunakena prushtam
सर्वविद् भवति इति शौनकेन पृष्टम्
tasmin vaktavye
तस्मिन् वक्तव्ये
aprushtam aha angira aprushtam aha angira
अंगिरा
dve vidye ityadi.
द्वे विद्ये इत्यादि.
So there is a small question. So what was the question? The question was, you please tell me that by knowing which I know everything. That was the question, isn't it? So the person who is giving a reply also should say, okay, this is the one, if you know this, you know everything. That should have been the answer. So that is what it means. Nanu kasmin vidite sarvavid bhavati iti shaunakena prushtam. So this Shaunaka's question was, by knowing which I know everything, isn't it?
Yeah.
Then tasmin vaktavye, when the teacher was supposed to say, was expected to say that, the teacher was actually expected to say, okay, you know this Brahma Vidya, you know everything. Instead of saying that, aprushtam aha angira. Aprushtam means that which has not been asked. So this Angira teacher, he is telling something which is not asked. Suppose you ask me one question. Instead of giving a reply, suppose I give some more information. What is the use? That is what is the question. So the reply will be, okay, he is putting it in a broader perspective. That is the reply. He is putting it in a broader perspective. Apurushtamaha angira dve vidya ityadi. Where is the need to say there are two vidyas instead of saying, okay, by knowing this, you know everything. Naisha doshaha
नैष दोषः
kramapekshatvat prativachanasya.
क्रमापेक्षत्वात् प्रतिवचनस्य.
Krama apeksh prativachanam means a reply. Yeah, answer. Prativachanam kramapeksham. Prativachanam kramapeksham is the sentence. So if you have to make it say Panchami Vibhakti, kramapekshatvat, the other becomes Shashti, prativachanasya. So anyway, that the overall meaning is the reply, whatever prativachanam he wants to give, it requires a particular order. Because suppose you have asked me a question, so the question it is in a larger framework. The answer is in a larger framework. So if I explain that larger framework, then you know where what you need fits in. Kasmin bhagavo vijñāte, by knowing which. Suppose I immediately say it is Brahma Vidya. Then what about all other Vidyas? What is the relationship between this Brahma Vidya and all other Vidyas? So some sort of larger perspective has to be given, so that you can immediately realize as to what you are knowing and what are the limitations of other types of Vidya. Is it clear?
Yes.
Aparahi Vidya
अपराहि विद्या
avidya
अविद्या
sa nirakartavya.
सा निराकर्तव्या.
So the purpose he is explaining. Aparahi vidya. He means yasmat, because this apara vidya is actually avidya. This apara vidya is actually avidya. Avidya need not necessarily mean ignorance. Ignorance appears to be a rather harsh word or bad word. Avidya means it is not vidya. It is not the complete reality. It has some sort of purpose. There is no doubt it has some purpose, because all this yajna, danam, tapa, etc. Yajno, danam, tapasyeva, pavanani, manishinam. They have to be performed. All the people, they have to jolly well perform. That's what Lord Krishna says. Yajno, danam, tapasyeva, pavana. They are all purificatory procedures. So all those things are very much needed. It is not as though we are totally discarding this aparavidya. Aparavidya has its own place for 99% of the people. That is it. But for a seeker, for somebody who has gone beyond that level, for somebody who has attained this sadhana chatushtaya sampatti, so for him, this aparavidya is something which has to be set aside. Okay, you have come through that, you have already completed your graduation, you have to now go to post-graduation or something like, PhD or something like that. So, you can't be there in graduation only. You have to graduate, you have to go beyond that. So that is it. Sa nirakartavya means that has to be set aside. Nirakartavya means it is not totally rejected, it has to be set aside. Nirakartavya. Then tad vishayehi vidite.
तद् विषये विदिते
1 second. Tad vishayehi vidite na kinchit tatvato viditam syad iti.
न किञ्चित् तत्त्वतो विदितं स्यादिति.
So, because he means because tad vishaye vidite sati saptami. Once you know that tad vishaye vidite sati, that means once you know that paravidya, that supreme thing, na kinchit tatvatah viditam, sorry, tad vishaye vidite. No, we are now talking about aparavidya. We are now talking about aparavidya. So, tad vishaye vidite, because if you know this aparavidya, if you know this lower level of vidya, what is the result? Na kinchit tatvato viditam syat. In reality, you are not learning anything. Tatvatah, in reality, tatvatah, substantially, let us say, substantially, you are not learning anything. You see, you are learning something from yajna, yaga, and then you are doing something else. Okay, it is a dharmic action, there is no doubt. You are performing dharma. But about reality, you have not substantially known anything. So that is what it is. Tasmin hi vidite means, tad vishaye hi vidite means, once if you know that apara vidya, na kinchit tatvatah means in reality, substantially, you have not learnt anything. Then nirakrutya hi purvapaksham
निराकृत्य हि पूर्वपक्षं
पश्चात् सिद्धांतो वक्तव्यो भवति इति
पश्चात् सिद्धांतो वक्तव्यो भवति इति
न्यायात्.
न्यायात्.
So general rule, nyaya means I explained to you yesterday, nyaya, what are the Samskrita nyaya? General rule, nyaya means a general rule. General rule, what is it? The purvapaksham has to be set aside. First of all, there is a doubt. Purvapaksha means some sort of objection, some sort of doubt. You know this word purvapaksha and siddhanta. When there is a debate, Shastra debate, then there is a question. You see, whatever this Upanishad is saying, all these words, we have got 3 levels, isn't it? 3 levels of learning. That is, number 1 is Shravana, number 2 is Manana, number 3 is Nididhyasana. Shravana means listening to the text, all these texts and all that. And even in the process of listening, of course, there are so many types of arguments, discussions and all that. In that discussion, there is a Purvapakshi. Purvapakshi means somebody who is presenting a counter point of view, an opposite point of view. So you have to listen to that opposite point of view, and then you have to have clarity in your mind about, his point of view is incorrect. If his point of view is correct, then we have to naturally take. It is not as though we stick on to one point and all that. If the opposition point of view is true, correct, naturally we have to accept it. But in after listening, there is what is called mananam. Mananam means you have to rationally think about it. You have to sort out what all questions arise in your mind. All those questions need to be clarified in your mind. And then after that clarification, you have to stay firm in that. You have to stay firm in that type of understanding. That is what is called nitidhyasana. So first what we have to do is nirakrutya hi purvapaksham. Because this purvapaksha, all these objections have to be set aside. First of all, they have to be clarified. And then paschat siddhanto vaktavyaha. Later, the siddhanta has to be told. So these 2 words, purvapaksha and siddhanta, we come across quite often in the Upanishad Bhashyam. Iti nyayat. Then this is the 4th shloka. Then we will come 4th mantra. Then we will come to the 5th mantra. Let us read the mantra first. Tatra para. Okay, let us read. तत्रापरा ऋग्वेदो यजुर्वेदः सामवेदो अथर्ववेदः
तत्रापरा ऋग्वेदो यजुर्वेदः सामवेदो अथर्ववेदः
शिक्षा कल्पो व्याकरणम् निरुक्तं छन्दो ज्योतिषमिति अथ परा यया तदक्षरमधिगम्यते. So the teacher Angira is saying, now having told that there are 2 levels of Vidya, he is saying what is the first level and what is the second level. He is telling about the second level first, the lower level. He is telling about the lower level first. Tatra apara, tatra means In that context, in this context, apara vidya, what is this lower level of vidya? Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, Atharvaveda. There are 4 Vedas he is mentioning. And then we have got a general idea about what is Rigveda, what is Yajurveda, etc., etc. Then Shiksha, Kalpo, Vyakaranam, Niruktam, Chando, Jyotisham. This we might not be knowing. These 6 are called Veda Angani. That is, if you want to know the full meaning of the Veda, you should know all these 6 things. Technically speaking, we are supposed to know all these 6. Right now we are reading this mantra without the swara. This particular Mundaka Upanishad, it is a mantra Upanishad, and then it is having some swara also. We are reading without swara for purpose of teaching anyway. But strictly speaking, I am supposed to know Shiksha, Vyakaranam, Chandas, Nirukta, Jyotisha, Kalpa, everything I am supposed to know. Anybody who wants to know the full knowledge of the full meaning of the Veda, we are supposed to know this. Say for this, again we have to specify that suppose somebody is doing a yajna. Somebody is doing a yajna. When he is performing an yajna, a particular mantra has to be chanted in a particular way only. That mantra, the swara should not be, there should not be any mistake in the swara. In Upanishad, while studying Upanishad, we are bothered about the meaning. While studying the Upanishad, we are bothered about what is the tat, what is the meaning of tvam, what is the meaning of asi, etc. We are bothered about it, and we want to see what the Upanishad is saying. We are thinking about, we are at the conceptual level, or we are at the level of, knowing or understanding the thing. But whereas there, you are understanding basically at a lower level, in the sense that, okay, this mantra has to be pronounced in this particular way only. Unless it is pronounced in this particular way, the result will not come. The result is technically called apurvam. In a yajna, say the moment a yajna is performed, the result is not there. Result is not immediately seen. So the result or punyam is in the form of some apurvam, some new thing which is, apurvam is some new something which accrues to the yajamani, accrues to the person who is performing the yajna. So that is called apurvam. So that apurvam will come into effect, or rather apurvam will be there only when it is performed in a very, very scrupulous way, without deviating from the procedure. If you deviate from the procedure, then the apurvam will not be there. So that is what it is. So the shiksha means what we call linguistics in the present days. In the modern day, what we call linguistics, how a word has to be pronounced, how the say mantras, there is a udatta, anudatta, all this swarita and all those things. So all those things have to be very, very perfectly told. For example, in Paniniya Shiksha, there is one shloka. I think I have told that shloka earlier in some other bhashyam, in some other context I can repeat. That is about Vyagri yatha haret putran. Suppose you see the female tiger. The female tigress, let us say, that tigress carries its cubs. How does it carry? With its teeth. So if it presses the teeth too much, it will be hurting the cub. If it is holding it too loosely, then the cub will fall. So it has to say perfectly hold it in such a way that it is neither hurting the cub, causing injury, and neither allowing it to fall. So there is a mantra, there is a shloka which says that in Paniniya Shiksha. Shiksha, the shloka says, Yatha Vyagri haret putran damstrabhyam nacha pidayet. Damstrabhyam means with its claws, and nacha pidayet, and it is not actually, it is not say causing hurt to that cub. Bhita patana bhedabhyam. It is afraid of either dropping it or either hurting it. Tadvad varnan prachodayet. Like that, you have to pronounce the words. You should not give too much of stress. You should not leave it in a very, very light way. You have to use the actual, whatever is the required amount of stress we are supposed to give to the words. So like that, there are so many rules. Say while reciting Veda, you are not supposed to do like this. Giti, Shigri, Shirah Kampi. You are not supposed to recite Veda like a Gitam. Gitam means like some song. Nowadays, You listen to some of these people, Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi, some singers, they are singing. So strictly speaking, we are not supposed to sing it. Om Bhurbhuva Swaha, we are not supposed to sing, we are supposed to recite in accordance with whatever swara is there. You have to go to a teacher who knows some swara about it, and then you have to recite in that way. Geeti means somebody who sings like that. Shigri means one who recites very, very fast. Om Bhurbhuva Swaha, Tat Sritarvena Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi. We are not supposed to say like that. Then Sirah Kampi, doing like this. Some people you see, while reciting mantras, they keep on doing this. We are not supposed to do that. So various things they are told in that Shiksha and how words have to be pronounced and all that. Then Kalpa. Kalpa is about the arrangement of this, arrangements made at the time of Yajna. What type of altar has to be made, because in that Yajna, many oblations are put into the fire. What type of fire sticks have to be, fire sticks have to be brought. And then what are the types of oblations, what type of fruits, which fruits have to be offered. Sometimes some dadima fruit, pomegranate, in some other, with some other mantra, some other guava fruit, with some other mantra, some banana. So you must have seen that. And then say what type of things have to be given there. So that is kalpa. And not only that, whether the altar should be triangular in shape or rectangular in shape or oval in shape, like that, all those prescriptions will be there. Kalpa. Vyakaranam, we know. Vyakaranam is grammar. Grammar, there are two Vyakarana, that is Vedic. For Veda there is a different Vyakarana, Vedic grammar. And then for normal, some classical Sanskrit as we call it. The Sanskrit which we are seeing in the Bhashyam is classical Sanskrit. The language which we see in the Mola text, it is Vedic Sanskrit. So tasmai, sa, ha, uvacha, hasma, these things are not there in classical Sanskrit. They are there in the Vedic Sanskrit. So Vedic Sanskrit is older than the classical Sanskrit. So that is it. Then Vyakaranam. Niruktam. Niruktam means the etymology. Etymology, the derivation of each word. Then in Sanskrit you have got Yaskacharya's Nirukta. There is one sage called Yaska. You can write it as Yaska, Yaska. So he wrote a book called Niruktam. Niruktam means Nirvachanam, as we say Nirvachanam. That is how the particular word is derived. And in the context of Upanishads and in the context of all older writers, we have to see the root meaning of the word. So that word over a period of time, it might have changed meaning. In the last so many thousands of years, if we take the present meaning, Rudhyartha, it may not be proper. You have to go to the etymological meaning. So Yaskacharya is again an old person, old in the sense, I don't recall the exact time, but he belongs to that period only, at least some 2000 years old or something like that. I have to check up. Yaska is not a modern person. He is a pretty old person. So he wrote that book called Niruktam. Chanda. Chanda is about the prosody. How these words, these mantras have to be structured. There is a particular order, there is a particular chandas, what we call prosody in meter, pentameter, tetrameter, etc. in English. Then Jyotisha. Jyotisha again is very important. Jyotisha means the knowledge of various the astronomical bodies. For doing a particular yajna, there should be certain particular say configuration in the sky. Configuration means the particular stars or particular planets, they have to be in a particular position. Specific planets have to be in a particular position in order to say fructify, or in order to ensure that the yajna gets its result properly. So this is knowledge of Jyotisha, knowledge of the stellar bodies, their positions, etc., and how they affect the human being, and what sort of mantras have to be recited, all those things have to be known. So these 6 are called Shad Anga. But then this Shad Anga, the knowledge of these 6 limbs, they are not so required for, they are not required for Upanishad, study of the Upanishad, because we are here studying the say what is the supreme reality, what is the nature of Atma. So these things, we are not connected with any yajna. But if you are connected with a yajna, you are supposed to read, you are supposed to know all these 6 limbs. So that is why it is called Apara Vidya. This is something to do with, say, a lower thing, in the sense that a yajna is giving you some result. in the sense that it will lead you to some punya loka or some such thing. And after exhausting that punyam, you have to again come back. So punyam does not mean liberation. Punyam or swarga does not mean liberation. Swarga is different from moksha, I told you. So that is one. That is the thing we have to remember. So all these things are apara. Then atha para. Thereafter, this para vidya, yaya means by which tad aksharam adhigamyate, by which that aksharam, that imperishable one. What is that imperishable one? We'll see in the bhashyam. That aksharam, adhigamyate means that which is known, that which is realized. Adhigama. Adhigama means gam dhatu. Gam dhatu means to go. Adhigama means to attain, to reach and attain. It is not as though you are traveling from place to place A to place B. You are merely realizing. You are merely realizing that you are your own destination. You are not having a different goal. Your knowledge of your own self is the destination. So tad aksharam adhigamyate. Let us see the bhashyam. Tatra ka apara ityuchyate.
Tatra ka apara ityuchyate.
Rigvedo, Yajurveda, Samavedo, Atharvaveda.
Rigvedo, Yajurveda, Samavedo, Atharvaveda.
Ityete chatvaro vedaha.
Ityete chatvaro vedaha.
Shiksha, Kalpo, Vyakaranam, Niruktam, Chando, Jyotishamithyangani Shat.
Shiksha, Kalpo, Vyakaranam, Niruktam, Chando, Jyotishamithyangani Shat.
Yesha apara vidya.
Yesha apara vidya.
Okay, this vidya consisting of these 4 Vedas and the 6 limbs of the Vedas, they are called the apara vidya. Atha idanim iyam para vidyochyate
Iyam para vidya uchyate.
Yaya tad vakshyamana visheshanam aksharam adhigamyate prapyate.
Yaya tad vakshyamana visheshanam aksharam adhigamyate prapyate.
Adhi purvasya gamehe
अधिपूर्वस्य गमेः
प्राप्त्यर्थत्वात्. प्रायशः प्राप्त्यर्थत्वात्.
प्रायशः प्राप्त्यर्थता.
Okay, प्राप्त्यर्थता is also okay. प्राप्त्यर्थत्वात् also okay. न च परप्राप्तेः
न च परप्राप्तेः
अवगमार्थस्य भेदो अस्ति.
अवगमार्थस्य भेदो अस्ति.
Okay. So the now paravidya. Atha idanim. Now iyam paravidya uchyate. This paravidya, the text is talking about this paravidya, that supreme or higher level of vidya. What is that? Yaya, by which tad means that vakshyamana visheshanam. That is the thing which is going to be told. Vakshyamana means that topic which is going to be told. Vakshyamana visheshanam, that which is going to be told. That is aksharam. That aksharam, that imperishable thing, that adhigamyate prapyate. Prapyate means attained. And now he is explaining the word adhigama. Adhipurvasya gamehe. Gamehe means gam dhatoh. For this the root gam, when it is preceded by the prefix called adhi. Adhi purvasya means when the gam dhatu is preceded by the prefix called adhi, then prayashaha, mostly, what is the meaning? Praptyarthata, your book says, praptyarthatvat. Prapti means attainment. The meaning will be attainment. Gam literally means go. Adhigama means to attain. So when a upasarga is added to a root, upasarga means a prefix. When a prefix joins a root, then the root meaning of the root changes. It happens the same in English. English means English. Most of the English words are derived from Latin. For example, receive, deceive. So like that. So receive, deceive, etc. The root is same. There the upasarga, re and di, they are different. Like that in Sanskrit also. Okay, where are we? Prayasha praptyarthatvat. Nacha parapraptehe avagamarthasya bhedosti. And it is also that, we should also know that, parapraptehe avagamarthasya bhedaha asti. Means that there is no difference between paraprapti. You see, attainment of that para means that supreme thing. Attainment of supreme thing is not different from avagama. Avagama means understanding. Understanding is attainment. That is the long and short of it. Avagamarthasya bhedo asti means na bhedo asti. That na has to be connected here. So that means attainment means avagama. This word, this line we come across in several bhashyams. Because Avagama does not mean going somewhere. There is no gati. Avagatireva gatihi. That is what we see in some other bhashyam. That is, I think, Kathopanishad. Avagatihi means understanding. Gati means that movement. Avagatireva gatihi means the so-called gati, the so-called movement is nothing but understanding only. So here also, we are not going anywhere. We are not going to a place called Kailasam. You are not going to a place called Vaikuntham or any such place. You are only realizing that what you call Brahman is essentially your own nature. If only you pure, if only you attain that level of purity. That is why all these sadhanas are told. All this sadhana, whether it is Patanjali Yoga Darshana or whether it is the 6th chapter of Gita, Atma Sanyama Yoga, that Atma Sanyama Yoga, all those things which are meant for cleaning the mind. So the cleaning of the mind is very much needed. Not merely cleaning of the mind, this contemplation on Brahma. Mere cleaning of the mind does not mean anything. After cleaning, you have to fill it with Brahma Vidya. So that is it. So then, avidyaya apaya evahi parapraptihi
Avidyaya apaya evahi paraprapti
na arthantaram.
na arthantaram.
So this paraprapti does not mean anything else. Na arthantaram means it has no other meaning apart from avidyaya apaya. Apaya means, in Telugu we use the word apaya wrongly. Apaya means danger. It is not danger. Apaya means apa-aya. Aya gatau, isn't it? Gati. Aya gatau means to move away. Apaya means to move away.
Apasara.
Apasara is an order. Apasara is an order. You hear apaya. This is not an order. This that is moving away, departing from a place. Apaya. So avidyayaha apaya eva. That means the real, not exactly rejection or removal of avidya, but the fading away of avidya. As you do this, as you clean your mind and as you start contemplating on Brahman, then slowly this avidya goes away. That avidyayaha apaya eva. This fading away of avidya, is the paraprapti. Na arthantar means it has no other meaning. So paraprapti does not mean anything else. You are not going and attaining anything. It is the gradual disappearance of your own ajnana. Disappearance of our own ajnana. Then, nanu Rugvedadi bahya tarhi
Rugvedadi bahya tarhi
sa katham paravidya syat
sa katham paravidya syat
moksha sadhanancha.
moksha sadhanam.
So this is a question. We will complete the Purvapasha. Ya Vedabahya Smrutayah itihi smaranti.
Ya Vedabahya Smrutayah. Full mantra is
Full shloka.
Shloka is given.
Okay, full shloka is here in my Anandagiri's commentary, but in Shankara Bhashyam it is not there. That Anandagiri's commentary, Ya Vedabahya Smrutayo Yascha Kascha Kudrushtaya. Is it all there?
Yes.
Okay, let us read. Ya Vedabahya Smrutayo
Ya Vedabahya Smrutayo
Yascha Kascha Kudrushtaya
Yasya kascha kudrushtayah
Sarvasta Nishphala Pretya
sarvasta nishphala pretya
Tamo Nishthahi Tas Smrutah
tamo nisthahita smrutaah
itihi smaranti.
itihi smaranti.
This is supposed to be from Manusmriti. So the Purvapakshi is now quoting. You see, you are now calling, the question is like this, Purvapakshi's question is like this. You are saying that there is what is called Paravidya, by which you know the supreme reality. And then you have classified or categorized this Rigveda, Yajurveda, etc., all those things as lower Vidya. That means what you call as Paravidya is something which has nothing to do with Rigveda, Yajurveda, etc. Veda Bhahya means which is beyond the purview of Veda. Veda Bhahya means which is beyond the scope of Veda, which is beyond the purview of Veda. That is what you are saying. And the Smritis say that whatever is Veda Bhahya, whatever is outside the purview, outside the pale of Veda, it is something which is Kudrushti, that is something which is a bad, which is a wrong perception, wrong view, Kudrushti. That shloka says, Ya Veda Bhahya Smrutayah, all those Veda Bhahya, all those things which are the outside the purview of Vedas, all the Smritis. Then Yasya Kascha Kudrushtayah, all those which are guided by Kudrushti. Kudrushtayah means guided by Kudrushti, means Ku is bad, Drushti is view. Bad view means wrong view, wrong perception, a perverted view. wrong view. So the wrong view is a better word. Then sarvahata, all those things, nishphalaha, pretya, they are all of no use. Pretya means having departed from here. Pretya, where will you go? Okay, you do perform some yajna and then you are promised some type of heaven. But then that is only, it is having some time duration. And after that you have to again come back in order to have the fruit of the other types of karmas. For doing some good karma, you have gone to a good place. For doing some bad karma, you have to go to some other place. So like that. Sarvasta nishphala pretya tamo nishtahita smutaha. They are all associated with tamoguna. Tamo nishthaha. They are associated with tamoguna. And they may not be perfectly tamogunas, but then we have to remember what we read in Ishavasya Upanishad. Ishavasya Upanishad says, Asuryanamate lokaha. Asuryanamate lokaha andhena tamasavrutaha. Isn't it? So there, the Upanishad says that what you call heaven is also a dark place. Because even in heaven there is no jnana. Even in heaven you are just dancing, drinking and merrymaking. Then that is not jnana. So, Asuryanamate loka, you are talking about some loka. You are worshipping some god and then you are following a particular religion and then you say that you are going to Devaloka and then okay, you are enjoying there. What is it? It is ignorance only. It is something, enhancement of our own, pleasures there. So it is something like a glorified, casino or something like that, isn't it? Casino, of course, you have to spend money. There, you have everything free. So that is it. You have to spend your punyam there. So anyway, tamonishta hita smrtaha. Tamonishta, in order to explain that tamonishta, I borrowed that line from Ishavasya. Ishavasya, he says, compared to Brahmajnana, all these Devalokas, they are also dark lokas. So that is what he says. So that is it. Then itisha smaranti. Then Purvapaksha is still continuing. Kudruštitvat, nishpalatvat, anadeya syat. Upanishadam cha Rigvedadi bhāhyatvam syat. Rigvedaditvetu Aditvetu Pruthak karanam anarthakam Atha katham pareti. Katham means how. Katham para iti. How do you say it is superior? How do you say it is para, supreme? So that is it. So the Purvapaksha will explain. So we read this Manusmriti's line. Veda Bhāhya Smrtaya, etc. Then Kudruštitvat, because they are guided by a wrong view. Because it is associated with Kudrušti, a wrong perception, wrong understanding. Nishphalatvat, it is useless. Nishphala, you go to heaven and again you come back. Then what is the use? You go there and come back again, you are back in your square one. Then Nishphalatvat. Anadeya syat. Anadeya, this Paravidya, what you are talking about, this Paravidya, Anadeya. Adanam means Svikaranam, accepting. Anadeya means something which need not be accepted. Anadeya, it should not be accepted. Adeya, Adanam means taking. Adeyam means you have to take. Anadeya means you need not take, you should not take. So that is it. Anadeya, it has to be rejected. That means, clear, more correct word is, it need not be followed, it can be rejected. Anadeya syat. What you say, Paravidya, is something which deserves rejection. Then Upanishadam cha Rigvedadi Bhāhyatvam syat. All these so-called Upanishads, they will be called Veda Bhāhya. Rigvedadi Bhāhyatvam syat. That situation will arise where one has to say that all these Upanishads are Veda Bhāhya. Then Rigvedaditvetu. If you say that this is part of Rigveda, Rigveda, this Paravidya is something to do with Rigveda, Ayurveda, etc. If you want to say that. On the other hand, if you say that it belongs to Rigveda, Rigvedaditvam means belonging to Rigveda. Rigvedaditvam means belonging to Rigveda. That means if you say that it belongs to Rigveda, it is not beyond the pale of Veda, beyond the purview of Veda, etc. Then this separation, distinguishing, Pruthak karanam means distinguishing. Pruthak means separate. Pruthak karanam means separating, distinguishing. And then saying this is Aparavidya, that is Aparavidya. You are telling that the whole Rigveda, Yajurveda, etc. is Apara. Then again you are saying that Paravidya is separate. Then if it is a part of this, say, if it is part and parcel of this Veda, there is no need for distinguishing, there is no need for separately telling it. That is the Purvapakshi's question. So the Siddhanti is replying, Na
न
Vedya Vishaya Vijnanasya Vivakshitatvat
वेद्यविषयविज्ञानस्य विवक्षितत्वात्
Upanishad Vedyakshara Vishayam Hi Vijnanam
उपनिषद्वेद्याक्षर
Vedyakshara Vishayam Hi Vijnanam
वेद्याक्षरविषयं हि विज्ञानम्
Iha Paravidyeti Pradhanyena Vivakshitam
इह पराविद्येति प्राधान्येन विवक्षितम्
Nopanishad Shabdarashihi.
नोपनिषत् शब्दराशिः
So he is making a distinction now. Now we have to see this fine distinction. There is what is called Upanishad Shabda Rashi. Shabda Rashi means, okay, you are reading an Upanishad, you are just having nicely, say, sitting in some bar or some such place or some such place, and then you are reading some Upanishad, or you are intellectually aware of what is there in the Upanishad. So that is okay. That is different from realizing. That is different from contemplating, manana and nididhyasana. You might have done some shravanam. Shravanam means just listening, and at an intellectual level you have understood what the Upanishad says. But then you have not done mananam, you have not digested it. Unless you do mananam, you can't digest it. And unless you digest it, you won't live it. You are supposed to live that. Walk the talk, as they say. You have to live it. You have to live it, you have to internalize it, you have to feel it, you have to experience what is called that Brahman. Well, suppose the Upanishad says you are Brahman. You should feel it. If you don't feel it, then what is the use? So, Shankaracharya is making a distinction between the Shabda Rasi. Shabda Rasi which is giving you some general meaning. So, okay, you are having some general meaning, or you know some general meaning of this thing, but you have never experienced. So, in order to distinguish this experience from this mere rote learning or say intellectual learning, he is making a distinction. Here you see, na Vedya Vishaya Vijnanasya Vivakshitatvat. This word Vijnana is important. Jnanam Vijnana Sahitam. We have read in Gita. Jnanam is at an intellectual level, Vijnanam is Anubhava. Isn't it? You recall that line from Gita, Jnanam Vijnana Sahitam. So Vedya Vishaya Vijnanasya Vivakshitatvat. Vijnanam is Anubhava. You have to bring it to experience. That is what is Vivakshitam here is. Vivakshitam means intended to be told. Vivaksha. Vivaksha is Vaktumicha, isn't it? So this is what is intended here. That is, what is intended here is this experience, Anubhava. Not mere learning what Rigveda is saying, what some other Veda is saying, all these Mahavakyas, etc. But you have to bring it to experience at least to some extent. Gradually, you have to bring it to experience. That is it. Then Upanishad Vedya Akshara Vishayam Hi Vijnanam. Then Upanishad Vedyam is Aksharam. Thus Aksharam is that not the letters. Upanishad Vedya Aksharam is, here we are talking about the imperishable. The imperishable thing which is Upanishad Vedyam, which has to be known only through Upanishad. There is no other thing which will reveal you what is that Aksharam. And that Aksharam or imperishable is known only by the Upanishad. That thing, Vishayam Hi Vijnanam. And that Aksharam has to be experienced. Vijnanam. Vijnanam, Iha means here, Paravidya iti Pradhanyena Vivakshitam. So Pradhanyena, it is in a very important pedestal, it is kept in a higher important pedestal by saying that it is Paravidya, it is something which is Supreme Vidya. Na Upanishad Shabda Rashihi, not this Upanishad Shabda Rasi, not the whole corpus of say this text, not the whole volume, bundles of text. We are not talking about these bundles of Shabda Rasi. We are talking about the experience aspect of it. And he is going to explain. Veda Shabdena tu Sarvatra Shabda Rashir Vivakshitaha
सर्वत्र शब्दराशि
Vivakshitaha Shabdarashi Adhigamepi
शब्दराश्यधिगमेति
यत्नान्तरमन्तरेण गुर्वभिगमनादिलक्षणम् वैराग्यञ्च न अक्षराधिगमः अक्षराधिगमः सम्भवतीति पृथक्करणं ब्रह्मविद्यायाः पराविद्येति कथनं चेति. Okay, so he is explaining what we have discussed. This is Veda Shabdena, by the mere word Veda. by the mere word Veda, sarvatra, at all places, in all contexts, Shabda Rashihi Vivakshitaha. Shabda Rashi, the whole mass of texts, the whole bundle of texts, all those things, Shabda Rashi is Vivakshitaha. That is what is intended there by the word Veda. Then Shabda Rashi Adhigamepi. Even when somebody knows that Shabda Rashi, like our Veda Pandits, Veda Pandits, they know all this Veda, then again they go and they bend before somebody, they beg before somebody, and then they feel they do not realize the meaning of that Veda. So the Veda doesn't give them the samskara. Veda doesn't give them the fearlessness. Veda is supposed to give them fearlessness, abhaya. So they don't experience it. So that is the problem. So Shabdarasi Adhigamepi Yatnantaramantarena Gurvabhigamanadi Lakshanam. There are some other things which have to be followed. You see, not merely Shabdarasi, that is the point. There is what is called Guru Abhigamanam. Guru Abhigamanam means going near a Guru. Guru Abhigamanam. Towards that Guru, you have to proceed. Vairagyam cha. And this is something which Guru cannot teach. You have to practice. Vairagyam is something Guru will only tell. Guru will only tell, but we are supposed to practice it. Vairagya is something, abhyasa. That abhyasa practice has to be there. Then, and Vairagya also comes from Viveka. Vairagya comes from Viveka. Viveka, of course, teacher will say. Viveka teacher will say, he will distinguish as to what is Nitya, what is Anitya, etc. And that sort of analysis has to give us Vairagya. If it does not give us Vairagya, then all his teachers' ranting is useless. So, Vairagyam cha, na akshara adhigamas sambhavati iti. Without these things, without going to a guru and without this Vairagya abhyasa and and then contemplating on this meaning of the Vedas, without all that, na akshara adhigamas sambhavati. That experience of that akshara does not happen. Akshara adhigamaha. Akshara adhigamaha means that experience of that akshara, experience of that imperishable does not happen unless you go to a guru. And unless you develop Vairagya and unless you realize actually. Then Sambhavati iti Pruthakkaranam Brahma Vidyayah. So that is the reason why this Brahma Vidya has been separated. Pruthakkaranam. Paravidyati Kathanam cha iti. So Paravidya, it has been told, oh, this is what is called Paravidya. Iti Kathanam cha iti. So is it clear?
Yes,
Okay. Next, now we are coming to the fifth mantra. Fifth mantra is over, the sixth mantra. So the sixth mantra is now telling about what is that Aksharam. Let us read this sixth mantra.
sir.
We are having only 2 minutes.
Yes.
Maybe we can start in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti